Welcome, everyone, to a new season of WAC Wager. Yes, we're bringing it back night in and night out. I'll present lines, over-unders, and share my thoughts on WAC teams and their opponents for the evening. It's a new year with a lot of unknowns. Some things we do know. GCU getting a ton of hype here in the preseason. Deservedly so. They ran to the WAC tournament title and have key pieces returning, plus some incoming transfers that are supposed to make an immediate impact. We'll talk about them in just a minute. SFA waiting in the wings. They've returned a ton. It's just a matter of staying healthy. And then Cam Tyson, one of the best scorers in the WAC, returns for the Seattle U Redhawks. They are probably a dark horse to win the WAC. Let's be real. They returned almost everybody. Riley Grigsby and Meku Denny left. Well, they graduated, I should say, and they're no longer eligible for college basketball. But Chris Victor, in his third season, Redhawks have won 20-plus games in both of his first two seasons as head coach. Well, his first season, technically, he was the associate head coach till late in the season. But they also won a share of the WAC regular season title in 2021-22. So keep an eye on the Redhawks. But after that, the WAC is wide open. Remember, there's only 8 teams that go to the WAC tournament in Las Vegas in March. So it's going to be a fun and exciting ride. Before we get to my thoughts on 5 key games on opening night around the WAC, just want to say, make sure you jump over to BetUS, America's favorite sports book, now in its 30th year, to get a 260% casino bonus plus $10 cash so you can place your bets today. Link in the description is below. So make sure you go sign up or deposit if you're already a member, whatever, but get your bets in so that you can win some money. Now that we're into that, let's talk about 5 games that I am watching on Friday night. I mean, let's just be real. I'm going to be paying attention to all of them, but these 5 individually, simply because they're against Division I opponents. The 4 other games around the WAC, they're against non-D1. So we'll pay attention to them, maybe share some thoughts at the end of the night, whatever. But the 5 that I'm going to talk about are against Division I opponents. We're going to start with Tarleton at Virginia. Texans, as you know, they're willing to play anybody, anywhere. They usually have a couple of power conference teams on their schedule. They have Virginia and Tennessee this year. I think a couple others if I take a look at their schedule. But Billy Gillespie's squad opening up against a power conference team. We've seen what they've done against power conference teams in the past. We'll consider Gonzaga a power conference team. They're not really mid-major because they're in the top 10 every single year. So they haven't really won the big one. They've played at Kansas, at Gonzaga. They were at Arizona State last year to open the season and took the Sun Devils down to the wire. They beat Boston College last year. But they haven't won at a national powerhouse. Not saying that Virginia is this year. They're not ranked to start the season, which is kind of weird because Tony Bennett's crews are always ranked, it seems like, but not this year. Is this year that they get the win over a brand name college basketball program? I don't know. We'll see. They lost a ton. Okay. They lost Freddie Hicks, Shamir Bogues, Tiger Booker, Shakur Daniel. They lost a ton, but they also have Lou Williams back. They have Ja'Cory Smith back. They play defense. They get after it on the guard line. They're long and they're athletic on the perimeter defensively. Size-wise, there's still some questions there. They don't have a ton of it, but that's not the way they play. And even if they did have a big guy, he couldn't play the style of basketball they want to play. Is that a benefit? We'll see. We know Virginia is going to have size. So I haven't really looked into the Cavaliers. I'm not going to lie. We'll be real about that. I'm just focused on the Texans. There was a book that had the line, the first half total of 60.5. That screams to me way too high. So that might be my best bet, is if you can find a book that has the first half over under at 16.5, take that under. I'm not sure that both teams are going to get going offensively right out the gate. Tarleton has an ability because Lou Williams and Ja'Cory Smith can shoot from the perimeter, but you know that both teams, I should say, Virginia plays a little bit slower pace normally. Is Tarleton going to speed them up? Or are they going to take their time, work things out offensively? It's just there's so many questions. The line at BetUS right now is Tarleton plus 16 The over-under total per game is 127. So take your pick. Most people always say take Tarleton. Unders always but sometimes that's not true. They scored over. I think they hit the over in the last 5 games in 2022-23. So there's a lot to be said there when they get going. We'll see what happens. It's the first game of the season against a power conference team, so you never know what can happen. I took the first half under of 60.5 on another book, just because, like I said, to start off a season on the road against a team that plays a little bit slower than normal, that also defends, it just screamed too high for me. So we'll see if I'm right on that one. You make your choice on the total of 127 or the line plus -16. Virginia's -16 favorite right there at BetUS. The second game I'm going to talk about is a big one. I think it's my favorite one of the night, just because there's a lot of curiosity behind it. You have a 30-plus win Oral Roberts team coming into UT Arlington, where the Mavs are featuring new head coach KT Turner. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of excitement at College Park Center and around the Arlington area with this hiring of KT Turner. I spoke to him earlier this offseason about the job and so forth, and he is excited. He wants to win now. It's not about rebuilding. It's not about revamping everything. It's about winning now, like establishing that culture of winning right now. He has 3 guys from last year's team: Aaron Cash, Shamar Wilson, and Brandon Talbot. New faces all over the place. I know a lot of people talk about Philip Russell. This is the big question mark with this game. Is Philip Russell going to be able to play? He is a 2-time Division I transfer. We know what the NCAA is doing with those transfers and their waiver requests. They're shutting them down. As I've been told, UTA is moving forward with the notion that he's not going to be able to play. So they're prepping like he's not going to be able to play. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night before the game. Is there going to be a decision that comes back on maybe an appeal? I don't know. So keep that in mind when you're making this bet. On BetUS right now, UT Arlington is a 2-point favorite over Oral Roberts. The over-under is 144.5. So take that with what you will. I don't know what we're going to see from UT Arlington. I don't know what we're going to see from Oral Roberts, because I think Oral Roberts is a whole different team than what they were last year when they won 30 games. UT Arlington, same thing. But they have a bunch of Division I transfers. They have guys that have experience at Division I level. They have size. If I wanted to lean some way, I think I'd take UT Arlington on the money line if I'm being real here. I'm going to look at what that is right now just to give you a heads up so that you can see. But, I mean, it doesn't give me a money line right now on BetUS. Unfortunately, it just gives me the lines. I would probably just take them to win it outright, period. Not how much they're going to win by, just win it, because I think they're going to get a W in KT Turner's first game at UT Arlington. I like that. That's all I'm going to say about that. The Mavericks, I think there's a little bit of a chip. There's a little bit of an edge. And the guys that came to UT Arlington to join KT Turner's first squad, I think they bought in and they know what they want, and they're going to go out and get it. The third game of the night that I'm looking at is Southeast Missouri at GCU. Now, we've talked about this. GCU has a ton of hype in 2022-23. I mean, 2023-24. Excuse me. Sorry. Woo. New season starting. I'm still behind. They won the WAC regular season championship. Now, wow, guys. Maybe I'll have to edit this. They won the WAC tournament championship behind probably the hottest shooting I've seen all season from any team throughout Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandalay Bay and the Orleans Arena. It was unreal. Ray Harrison, preseason player of the year, returns. He was the WAC tournament MVP. Gabe McLaughlin, the guy that makes things go at GCU, is back. Juwan Blackshear is expected to be back. Josh Baker recovering from a surgery. He might be back, but we're not sure. Either way, Tyne Grant Foster, who has played at DePaul in Kansas, Colin Moore, Sid Curry from Louisville, Loke Wur, who played at Oregon, who didn't play in their exhibition game. They're all back. They're all at GCU now. Duke Brennan from Arizona State. There's size, there's athleticism, there's length, there's scoring from multiple angles. The line is -16.5 when they host Southeast Missouri on Monday night at GCU Arena. I think that line's too low. I think GCU is going to win big just to show everybody that the hype is real. And it's going to be hard. Southeast Missouri has probably never played in an atmosphere they're going to play in on Monday night. Let's be real about that. GCU Arena gets rocking. It's loud. We'll just go with what my friend Steven Wagner called it, a rave, a party, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what it is, but they have never played in an atmosphere like they're going to play in on Monday night. That can be overwhelming. I think the fact that GCU is just bigger, stronger, and athletic, more experienced. I think the Lopes roll just to make a point and say that the hype is for real. We're going to live up to that hype, at least early on. Fourth game of the night, Southern Utah at Cal State Bakersfield. Another interesting game because Rob Jeter, new head coach at Southern Utah, completely different roster. Okay, they only had 3 guys back from last year's squad. That all 3 of them didn't play a ton. 2 of them didn't play at all. If one of them played rarely. Parsifala played the most minutes out of the 3. Zion Young played a couple minutes here and there. Braden Housley didn't play at all. But report is that Braden Housley would have been the starting point guard had Drake Allen not committed to Southern Utah. So there's that. Prophet Johnson, I love that name. Keep an eye on him. If you haven't been paying attention, okay, for Southern Utah, they have an assistant coach named Sean Gutting. He was at Casper College the last 5 years. He is over the offense. He takes care of all of that. His offenses when he was at Casper College averaged over 90 points a game. So just take that with a grain of salt. I know I'm not necessarily high on Southern Utah around the WAC because I don't know. I can't tell you what I don't know. And that's, I don't know how they're going to play. I don't know how they're going to, what their offensive style, what their flow is going to be. But I think that their style, which isn't going to be using size, it's going to be use quickness, athleticism, being able to shoot the 3 ball. I think that might come in handy at the Accardo Center on the blue court. I like Southern Utah at +2 or +3 is the line on BetUS. I've seen it at +2 on some other sites, but I like them at +2. Nothing against Rod Barnes. I love the Roadrunners. They're former WAC school. But I just think that Southern Utah, if you saw their WAC basketball preview segment, there's a little bit of an edge there. And I think that bodes well when they go on the road to open the season at CUS Bakersfield. Give me Southern Utah +2. I like that. And maybe even test the over just because I think Southern Utah is going to be able to score against the Roadrunners. Final game. Yeah, it's the final game. Abilene Christian at Oklahoma State. Now, people will say, well, why don't you have the power game as higher on the list? Well, for a couple of reasons. And the only reason I had Tarleton at Virginia is because Tarleton at Virginia is the first game of these 5 games against, Division I opponents. So that's why. But Abilene Christian at Oklahoma State. The line right now on BetUS is 10.5. Over under 140. Gosh, it's hard to say what Abilene Christian's going to do. They don't have a point guard. Kavion McClain comes in to take over for Damian Daniels, who Damian Daniels took over for Reggie Miller. And both Reggie Miller and Damian Daniels had been under Brett Tanner for years. Okay. Kavion McClain comes in. They say he has more athleticism, more offensive game than both those guys. So we'll see if they get more offensively out of their point guard position. But on the flip side, Brett Tanner returns Arian Simmons, Cam Steele, Ali Deba, Hunter Jack Madden, Manny Allen, the team's leading scorer, Manny Allen last year. And then they add Aiden Igehan from GCU, big guy, who is going to be a presence in the paint for ACU. Leonardo Bettiol, I think, is a name that people need to remember and keep an eye on what he can do. Big, strong dude who at times looked really, really good last season for the Wildcats. So the way that ACU plays, they like to force a ton of turnovers. So 20-plus turnovers almost every year per game. Okay? They play fast. They like to push tempo. They like to dictate what's going on. Do I think that they could, do that at Gallagher-Iba Arena? I don't know. We saw Sam Houston go in there last year, and they just didn't have the depth and they didn't have the size to match up with the Cowboys. I don't know that ACU does, but I don't think it matters. I mean, we've seen ACU be undersized plenty of times in the past 2 years and still hang around and nearly pull off upsets. I think it was a triple overtime or double overtime game at Texas A&M a couple years ago. They beat Utah Valley twice in their first season in the WAC, and they were severely undermanned there. But Cam Steele and Arian Simmons stepped out and hit 3-pointers, and Utah Valley didn't make any adjustments. So I would lean closer to the over of 140 than the line, just because I don't know what they're going to do. Do I think that they can cover? Sure. Do I think they can win outright? No. But that's the beauty of playing a power conference team. You're not expected to win. There's no expectation. So you go play free and lose, because it's a lose situation for that power conference team. Whereas if you lose, okay, well, you're expected to lose. If you win, huge props, because that's a huge upset. That's a double-digit upset. Do I think that this could possibly be that spot like Sam Houston had at Oklahoma last year? I absolutely do. I really do. Because Brett Tanner has an experienced squad. He has a physical squad. And he has guys that know his system and want to play. And Ali Deba could play at many other programs. Watch out for that guy. Keep an eye on him. If his perimeter shooting has increased even a little bit, this guy might be one of the best players in the WAC all season long. So take the over, lean plus 10.5. I don't know that they're going to win it outright, but if you want to sprinkle some, do it, because this is the kind of team that can do that. As you can see, I'm high on the WAC teams, not necessarily because I am biased. Well, I am a little bit biased, but because I don't know about the other teams. I know what these teams that I'm covering bring to the table. So take that for what it's worth. I may be crazy. After tomorrow night, I may be on this show, on Tuesday and just licking my wounds. We'll see. But anyways, everybody, thanks for tuning in the first episode of WAC Wager on this 2023-24 season. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the games. And it's great that college basketball is back.